Hi guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're all feeling healthy, happy and doing okay. In today's video I'm going to be making a super simple storage rack to go on the workshop wall for all my odds and sods such as screws, nails, panel pins, nuts, bolts, washers and all the good stuff that we tend to hoard thinking that we might need it one day. At the moment, all mine's jumbled in together, and if I need a particular item, I've got to rake through everything and try and find it. So, I went out to the shops, saw these, and thought they'd make perfect compartments for all my odds and sods. And I'm going to build a simple racking system that I can put the containers in and slide them in and out with all my little goodies. And going to put it on the wall. So that is what I'm going to do in today's video. So sit back, relax and enjoy the video. So for this build I'm going to be using some leftover 18mm ply, and like many other projects the first thing I do is use a table saw to cut all the pieces down to their final sizes. Right, that's all the main parts cut to size. Now all I've got to do is cut some rabbets to join the outer parts together, and then I've got to do some housing joints or dados for the centre parts to join all that together, and also for the individual shelves which I'm going to be making out of 6mm ply. So to cut the rebates and the housing joints for the upright middle supports and the individual shelves, I'm simply running the workpiece through the table saw, adjusting the fence slightly, running it through again, checking to make sure it's the right width, and repeating the process until they're all done. Right, that's the outer corners done. Right, so now the outside's done, I need to put two housing joints or dados in the top and the bottom, and that's basically going to house the two centre columns. So let's get on with that. So to cut the housing joints for the shelves on the outermost pieces of the cabinet, I basically, when I've finished making a slot wide enough and the blade is up against the edge of the groove, then I basically just adjust the fence by 5 centimeters, and then that is where I start the next housing joint or dado. So I'm using the exact same process on the two centre divides, the only difference being I'm cutting the housing joints on both sides. They all seem to line up nicely, so I need to run the top and bottom and the two sides through the table saw on edge and put a slight rebate on the back edge for the back to sit in. Then I can basically start fitting it together as it is, and after that I can get an exact measurement for the shelves and start cutting all them. So I don't know how well you're going to see it from here. You've got a nice little rebate that runs all the way around the inside at the back, so I can cut the back to size to slot in. The only thing I've got to do is just trim off the back edge of these two middle supports, because originally I'd planned to put it over the back so I could afford to cut all these at the same height, but then I decided it probably looked nicer if I cut a rebate and sunk the back in. So now I could drill some pilot holes, countersink and start screwing it all together. So here I am attaching the back, and unfortunately I had to use 3 separate pieces as I didn't have a single piece large enough to do it in one, and because the sides were slightly bowed I had to use some clamps to squeeze it all together while I glued and nailed it in place. So to make the individual shelves, I first cut the remaining stock down to the required width on the table saw, and then took it over to the miter saw to cut them down into the individual shelves. Now the two outer columns were exactly the same size, so all I did was cut a piece down and then I'd use the previous piece to mark the location for the next lot and repeat the process. And the middle column was slightly less, so I did those separate, and here I'm just using a mallet to tap them into place. Some of them went in easier than others, but we got it done in the end. Then I decided that it would probably look a little bit better if I trimmed out the front, so I cut some thin strips the same width as the 18mm ply and mitered the corners, and then I glued and nailed that on the front, and I think that finishes it off nicely. Right guys, that's another job ticked off the list. Hope you enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed this one and I'm pleased with the way it turned out. All I've got to do now is actually fill it up. But the good thing about these being clear is the fact that you can see exactly what's in them without having to open them. So, happy with that. I want to thank all my regular subscribers for watching the videos and supporting the channel. Welcome to all the new subscribers that have joined recently, and if you're one of the 80% that's watching a video on this channel and not yet subscribed, I would really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and tapping that bell icon, and that way you'll be notified of all my future uploads. I'm just a guy in a shed with no experience that likes to make stuff out of wood, so if that's your sort of thing, subscribe. Cheers.